Yeah, but you throw him in anything, he's gonna excel. So yeah, I agree. What it
Yeah.
got me though is that um, it was fun. You know what I mean? Like it's something we had already seen, but like you kind of said, the story came out 40 plus years ago, but it still somewhat had it felt fresh. It was fun. It was kind of tread on old ground, but you don't really care. Like it
Hmm.
was enjoyable.
Welcome to another episode of It's a Simple Life podcast with Brandon and Lorin. We are entering the month of July, almost halfway through the year. And we're going to get right into our cold open. But first, how's your week been? What's been going on?
Pretty good. I think everybody's kind of dealing with the circus that is American politics. It's been a lot over the last few days. Last 2 weeks has been nuts. Whoever's directing this telenovela needs to stop. Uh, but other than that, yeah, I can't complain. The weather's kind of calmed down finally, so it's not super hot, but still warm. But no, I've been good. How about you?
Yeah, same. The weather's been cooperative and things are going well, but yes, the bomb dropped on Sunday with
Yes.
the Democratic Party was something I was not expecting, but somehow I'm feeling optimistic just with how people
Exactly.
seem to be falling the line behind the new candidate. So hopefully things turn out well come November.
Right.
So that's all we can do is just hope.
Right. Hope. Right.
But before we get to the election, we have the Emmys coming up in September, and the Emmy nominations were announced this past week. Some surprises, some not, but let's just go through the major categories, what we enjoy hearing, and what we can expect September 15th for the, I think it's 74th Emmys, some
Sure.
something
Yeah,
like
something like
that.
that.
But first off, of course, the leaders of the pack this year is actually FX. They scored the leading drama nominated as well as the leading comedy nominated, with Shogun earning
Yeah.
25 nominations, and it's the only second non-English language series nominated for best drama, right
Oh
after
wow.
Squid Game. And then we have The Bear, which scored 23 nominations, and that is the most nominations for a comedy in a single year. So they're over here breaking records. Then the top five is rounded out with Only Murders in the Building, The Crown, and HBO's True Detective Night Country, all earning the most nominations for shows. And then, of course, there were some surprises. Biggest one for me was Reservation Dogs finally getting just due.
Yes. Absolutely.
Its final season got nominated, I think got 4 nominations, including Best Comedy Series and then Best Lead Actor in a Comedy for the four, no, I done forgot his name. The actor that plays Bear.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's not the four, it's like the Pharaoh Wunatai. So really happy for them. Slow Horses also got a few nominations, major nominations in Best Drama and then Actor for Gary Oldman. X-Men 97 is nominated for Best Outstanding Animated Program. So
Mhm.
that's a big push. And then the morning show, I guess they think that's this year's Succession, as it got a ton of supporting actor noms. They kind of fill those categories similar to how the final season of Succession had a bunch
Yeah.
of nominations. I don't like that show. I don't see how people.
I've
I
seen
don't
an
know.
episode or two, and yeah, it's not really for me.
People say it's not a good show, but it's entertaining.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, some major snubs. Everyone was for sure that the Curse, starring Emma Stone, was going to rank up, and it was shut out completely.
Yeah.
It was sort of like a provocative take, sort of semi mockumentary style show that was kind of quirky, and I guess the Academy just didn't like it.
Yeah.
And then of course favorites. the Bear supporting casting nominations. So we have Lionel Boyce nominated for the first time. Liza Colon Zayas is nominated for her role as Tina. So a lot of firsts for the Bear that I'm really enjoying.
That's
But
good.
as,
That's good.
but as far as the major categories, kind of the similar players here. For outstanding comedy series, we have Abbott Elementary, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Hacks, Only Murders in the Building, Palm Royale, Reservation Dogs, The Bear, and What We Do in the Shadows. And that from that list, I would, of course, root for Reservation Dogs, but I would be mad if Abbott or Hacks won as well. I thought this past season of Hacks was really good. I love The Bear, but it's really not a comedy. Like,
No, I don't see that at all. It's definitely a drama. Like I'm not sure. Like there are very few comedic moments in that show at all. Like you can count them with one
yeah.
hand, maybe.
Yeah, it's funny, but that's the comedy is not centered.
No.
On the drama side, we have Three Body Problem, which kind of surprised people. Prime Video's Fallout and Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Shogun, Slow Horses, The Crown, The Gilded Age, and The Morning Show.
I have to give it to the Gilded Age because I dropped off episode 2 because it was just slow, slow, slow.
I really, yeah, I
It's got a
really,
following.
yeah, I really tried watching it, and it was just, I wasn't into it. Like,
No, no.
I thought I would be, but I just didn't care. But it does have a solid following. Actor in comedy series, we have Steve Martin and Martin Short from Only Murders in the Building, Jeremy Allen White from The Bear, the Pharaoh Wunatai, Reservation Dogs, Larry David, Curb Your Enthusiasm, and then Matt Berry for What We Do in the Shadows, which was another surprise.
Yeah, I think that one's either going to go to one of the older guys, Larry David, because that was the last season of Curb Your Enthusiasm, or Steve Martin or Martin Short, probably.
Yeah. And then actor and drama kind of surprise, you have Idris Elba for Hijack.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which I know people like that show, but I never thought it would rise
Right.
to that level. Donald Glover, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Walton Goggins for Fallout, Oldman for Slow Horses, of course Hiroyuki Sanada for Shogun, and Dominique West for The Crown. The Crown is just there because it's on. For actress and drama, Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston, both for The Morning Show. Carrie Coon for The Gilded Age. Maya Erskine got in for Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Imelda Staunton for The Crown. And then Anna Sawa for Shogun. The Shogun people better sweep. I don't...
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I don't think this is the Crown's year. Like you said, they put them in there just because it's on television.
Yeah.
But of the shows we talked about so far, Mr. and Mrs. Smith was incredible. It absolutely blew me out of the water. It's much better than what I thought it would be.
Right.
But then, yeah, Shogun, I'm not sure how you get past that.
Outstanding supporting actor in a comedy, as we mentioned. Lionel Boyce for The Bear. He's joined by Eben Moss Bacharach, Paul Downs from Hacks, Paul Rudd for Only Murders, Tyler James Williams for Abbott, and then Bowen Yang for Saturday Night Live. Actress and supporting actress in the comedy, you have Carol Burnett being the oldest female nominated at age 91 for Palm Royale. Liza Colon-Zayas for The Bear, Hannah Unbinder for Hacks, both Janelle and Cheryl for Abbott Elementary, and then Meryl Streep for Only Murders. Which is another show that I've seen. It's all right.
Yeah, I'd like it, but I'm not gonna lie, I didn't expect it to go as far as it has.
And then drama supporting actor, you have two from Shogun, Tabanobu Osano and Takehiro Hira. You have Billy Crudup, Mark Duplass, and John Hamm, all three from The Morning Show. Like, why? Yeah. Why three from the same show? Jack Lowden for Slow Horses, and then Jonathan Pryce for The Crown, because they had to stick The Crown in there. Then you have the guest actor and actress, which, I mean, I was surprised to see Tracy Letts here from Winning Time, since that show got canceled pretty early. Guest actress in the drama, Michaela Cole from Mr. and Mrs. Smith, along with Sarah Paulson and Parker Posey, and then The Morning Show and The Crown. And comedy side, guest actor, not many surprises. I think I would root for Christopher Lloyd for Hacks because his character
Yeah.
was interesting. And then guest actress, I don't see how Jamie Lee Curtis loses this since she's nominated for Fishes episode from season 2. But
Yeah, it's definitely hers.
you also have Caitlin Olsen from Hacks, who does great as Deborah Vance's daughter. So it's very much up in the air. But I don't see how Shogun loses. Like
Yeah.
there's hasn't been a better show, a better drama this year other than that series. Limited series. I didn't see any. Well, I saw Ripley and True Detective. Then we have Baby Reindeer, Fargo, and Lessons in Chemistry.
Yeah, I could see some for Baby Reindeer. People are obsessed with that show, so it may still one or two in there.
Yeah, their actors were nominated as well. Richard Gadd, for lead actor, and then I think both supporting actresses were nominated as well. Jessica Gunning and Nava Mao, I think I said that right, who I recognize from Generation. She played the aunt
Oh
to
yeah.
yeah. So I'm kind of low-key rooting for her. You also have Callie Reese here for True Detective, Lily Gladstone for Under the Bridge. So the competition is kind of tight for limited anthology or movie, which it kind of always is, but it's going to be interesting. Any other categories kind of surprise you?
Not really. I think you covered them all.
All right. And they did for the first time. I think previously they always had talk series and variety talk
Yeah.
series together. They separated them. So talk series now just consists of late night shows. And then they stuck um Last Week Tonight under outstanding scripted variety series. So Daily Show or someone else has a chance to win this time.
Yeah, for once, yeah.
Oh. So hope you tune in on Sunday, September 15th for the Emmy Awards hosted by, oh, they don't have a host yet, but they'll be on Fox or ABC.
I think I saw ABC.
It was Fox this year.
Yeah.
ABC this year, Sunday, September 15th at 8 p.m. And now we'll go and get ahead and get into our feature presentation.
Yeah.
So this month was the release of the highly anticipated sequel to an 80s classic, Beverly Hills Cop, starring Eddie Murphy. Following his sort of early success on Saturday Night Live, Beverly Hills Cop kind of propelled him to superstardom. So we were planning to watch, the 3 previous itinerations and then watch the new one. Did you get to any of the first 3 movies?
No, I remember the first one. So I've seen the first 2. I know those 2, but I can see the first one and then I watched the newest one. But yeah.
Okay, yeah, same. I watched the first one. I kind of forgot I had seen it already, but watching it kind of refreshed it. And I watched the new one. So what are your thoughts on the original?
I like it. And one thing about it, like you could see how in that time of the 80s and how just kind of Eddie Murphy carried himself throughout the film, you could see how it could boost him to stardom. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was a good, engaging film. It was fun. It was action. There was the comedy aspect of it. So, it's no surprise that that's a film that kind of acted as a launch pad for him. But, you know, as for the story and stuff, it's kind of what you expect for the 80s, I suppose. Like there was nothing mind blowing. So
Yeah. Like he's great in it because he's doing some heavy lifting. Like
right, exactly.
he is the
Yeah,
central focus of the film.
right.
The story itself is very flimsy. Like I had trouble following. Basically, his friend is killed. His friend was like undercover,
Yeah, I think so.
and he's killed, and then he gets sent to solve the mystery, or he goes to solve the mystery, even though he's not it wasn't given permission or whatever.
Right.
And some random white woman he knows out there, kind of, which didn't make any sense either. Like, how does he know her?
Right.
But yes, he does the heavy lifting. Like, it's very 80s from like the constant like grimacing from the villain, and
Yeah, it's super 80s. There's a lot that's going on. Like, I mean, the cars, the just the talk, and everything. Yeah.
yeah, but he does heavy lifting. He's hilarious. He does the action scenes well. And it kind of made me miss movie soundtracks, because almost like every
Absolutely.
other scene has a song that was pushed at that time,
Right.
from the Pointer Sisters, the Patti LaBelle, to of course the epic theme song. Um, yeah, it's definitely catered to that time. So I gave it, I think maybe like 2.5 stars, just because it's Eddie. It's his
Yeah.
vehicle,
Yeah.
basically.
Oh, you're talking about the first one?
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah. Yeah. I could definitely agree with that. I could agree with that.
Yeah. And I've heard from other people who really enjoyed the first one because it's the original, that the sequels were not very good.
Yeah.
Um, so I'll get to them later. But we'll get to the new one, which is titled Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. Um, of course, after his name, Axel Foley. In this iteration, he returns to Beverly Hills as his daughter, who is a defense attorney, is being targeted by some villains
Right.
because she knows who killed her witness, basically. And I really enjoyed this one. It had a more developed story,
Right.
sort of more developed characters. You can see an arc kind of there for Foley and the relationship with his daughter, who was played by, what's her name? Why can't I think of her name?
What is it? Is it Taylor
T-
Page?
yeah, Taylor
Yeah.
Page, which she was serviceable. I
Yeah.
don't think she's always great, but she was fine in this role.
Right.
Um, but I thought him and Joseph Gordon-Levitt had great chemistry, as they were like
Yeah.
the new cop, old cop sort of mentality. They were great on screen. And then Kevin Bacon's always good.
Yeah. But you throw him in anything, he's gonna excel. So yeah, I agree. What it got
Yeah.
me though is that um it was fun. You know what I mean? Like it's something we had already seen, but like you kind of said, the story came out 40 plus years ago, but it still somewhat had it felt fresh. It was fun. It was kind of tread on old ground, but you don't really care. Like it
Mm-hmm.
was enjoyable. And this too had a
Mm-hmm.
lot of music in it. I would say.
Yeah, it did. It
Yeah.
did. A lot of music. Um, the story is more grounded. I think it's stronger this way. And of course, they bring back a familiar characters.
Mhm.
So, um, Reingold is there and his captain. And then the what you call it guy. Why am I
Uh,
the fashion guy or whatever who
yeah.
kind of stole the scene in the first movie? And Paul Reiser returned as well. But Bronson Pinchot as Surge
Yeah.
came back. And I really enjoyed Louis Guzman's cameo. It was a short scene,
Yeah.
but he delivered. I was really impressed.
Yeah.
The action scenes were pretty good.
Yeah. They were decent.
Um, they were threatening, and it did feel like that throwback to like thugs you have to chase through
Yeah. The
traffic
town.
and
Right.
stuff like
Right.
that. Yeah. The only issue I kind of had, I understand this is his daughter, but where was the mom? Did she
Yeah.
exist?
Throughout the whole
Like,
and I guess maybe there's something there in the other two movies. I don't know.
maybe.
Yeah, like we've not seen them, so we may be missing a complete huge part of the story. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, because I was just like, okay, did she not have a mom? Did the mom die? Like,
Right.
they never mentioned. It was just very weird how that never came up. But I did like the way they viewed the law. Her as a defense attorney, recognizing that everything wasn't so black and white. Her understanding that there's more to criminals than just bad people. They deserve the exact same rights as anyone else. It was modernized. It would examine policing and the pitfalls within it. So I appreciate it for that. So I definitely gave it like 3 stars.
Yeah, I think a 3 would be fair. It'd be solid. And like you said, I'm glad you hit on the action scenes, because sometimes I guess it's how I feel about Netflix. They just lack a lot in some things, but I think the action scenes in this were really good. And just like you said, everything overall was enjoyable. Nobody's going to put this up for some sort of nomination, but if you need something to watch for 2 hours, this would do the trick.
Yeah, I particularly enjoyed like that first scene where they spoilers, they attempt to kill Taylor Page's character by like dragging her car out of the parking garage. That was like crazy. That, and then the whole helicopter bit. He hadn't flown in a while. That was funny. And I thought the fight scenes were really good as well.
Yeah, there's a lot to enjoy. It was decent. I will say, before we chose to watch it, I was like, oh boy, this is gonna be something. But no, it was a good choice.
Yeah, it held my attention. Definitely. Yeah. And that's our feature presentation. We're going to go ahead and slide into our streams of the week. All right, so first we'll get into what we watched. Excuse me. Movie-wise, I went to see A Quiet Place Day 1.
Okay, that's good.
In theaters, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Of course, there's the horror action, as we're familiar with, this being a prequel series to that franchise. This is what it looked like when the aliens descended onto Earth. And we're following Lupita Nyong'o's character, who is actually a cancer patient, and her hospice group decides to go to a show, and the coordinator promised her that she could get pizza from the city. But of course, this emergency prevents that, but she is determined that she's going to get this pizza. So aside from, the horror elements, there is a real substantive story about fate and sort of mortality as well. And what kind of you appreciate in your final moments. It was really good. She does a great job. Joseph Quinn is excellent as well. And if they decide to do another shoot off, we need to see Jimon Hansu's character take center stage, because he makes a cameo here to sort of connect the movies. And he deserves to be a lead by now. Like, stop just plugging him on the side. So yeah, I would love to see that continuation there. So I gave it a solid 3 stars out of 5. It's very enjoyable. And then we had the season 4 finale of The Boys. I'm not going to spoil it too much since you've never watched it fully. But this season was all about Homelanders versus Starlighters, which was basically an allegory for Trumpsters versus everybody else. It's an election year, and the election is set for January 6th, and there's an assassination attempt planned for the president. They wrote this back in 2023, so they had no idea the events that would occur this year. They even had to put a disclaimer out saying, we did this years before, this assassination attempt on former President Trump, blah, 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 blue, blue. So, yeah. Honestly, there wasn't much similarity, but I'm sure they had to say something.
With everything.
Yeah, since there was political violence. But overall, it's a very exciting finale. It sets up the final season 5, perfectly, with a crazy cliffhanger. So that won't come out, I'm sure, until 2026, as they have the second season of Gen V coming out sometime next year. So you definitely have time to watch the first 4 seasons. And I have the first 3 seasons on DVD if you ever want to borrow it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely have to get into it.
Yeah, it's such a crazy show, but it's done really well.
Okay, that's good. Um, for me, I checked out a couple of things. One of them was Homicide Los Angeles. This is the second part of a series on Netflix, which was Homicide New York, and it just takes kind of high profile cases at the time and breaks them down into from the very first part all the way to how they solved who did it. And the Los Angeles ones were decent, and like I hate to say that about the crimes, but they weren't like wowing. Like these seem like things that would happen. But the first one, which
Mm.
was interesting, was who was it? Phil Spector, is that his name?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that was a very interesting case because while I knew that he had killed the woman, I didn't know everything behind it. And so they go into this woman's background, who she was, and how they ended up meeting. And it was just bad luck on her part. And he was a
yeah.
real angry man, is what, this really came down to. But yeah, so it's an interesting show. Then I checked out the movie Am I Okay? And
Okay.
this was, oh, I need to get some names because I'm going to mess this up. I know it's Tig Notaro is behind it, the comedian, but then it's Dakota Johnson and, oh, she's in House of the Dragon, Sonoya Muzono.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So the basis is that Dakota Johnson is kind of this early 30s-year-old in Los Angeles working, doing her thing, and Sonoya Mizuno's character is her best friend, and they've always been close. But Mizuno, whose character is Jane, gets a job offer back home in London, which kind of adds friction to this whole thing. And as this is happening, Dakota Johnson's character Lucy is trying to figure out her sexuality. So that happens, and then she meets oh, what's her name? Kiersey Clemens.
Mm.
You remember her? Yeah, she's in this as well, and that's her boss. And it's kind of just like a coming of age, finding yourself, how life happens to you type movie. But it was enjoyable. It had some funny moments in it that I really liked. So I thought it was pretty good. And then lastly, I checked out a movie called Perfect Days, which is on Hulu, I believe, and it has a lot of big press around it. It's very good, but it follows a man. This is a Japanese film who cleans toilets for a living, and the movie just kind of follows him as he finds he makes peace with his life, and it's just kind of this overall message that no matter what you do in life, you play a role in the bigger picture overall.
Mm.
And
Mm.
so yeah, it's a really good film. I really enjoyed it. I want to say it was on Hulu though. I'm pretty sure it was because it
Okay.
just
I saw some stuff about that popping up here and
right.
there.
Yeah, so it's streaming, but yeah, it was pretty good.
Okay. All right. Now we'll get into what we're watching. I'll start with I just started Lady in the Lake on Apple TV.
Okay,
Um, Stars Natalie Portman and Moses Ingram in 1966 Baltimore.
okay.
Um, it's kind of strange because Moses is the narrator, but we already know that her character is dead. So
Hmm.
it starts a month earlier before her death, and how a little girl goes missing, little Jewish girl goes missing. Natalie Portman's character kind of has an awakening out of her Jewish housewife prison
Yeah,
and wants to investigate. Simultaneously, Moses is going through, what black women have always gone through: misogyny, sexism,
right. Totally.
racism, and it's trying to draw parallels between their two experiences. Um, it's created by I forget her name, but she kind of does like surreal type of things. Alma Harrell.
It's new to me.
What else has she done? She did Honey Boy with Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So yeah, it's an interesting concept. The first episode kind of takes a minute to draw you in, especially given that it's trying to draw comparisons between a white Jewish woman and a black woman in 1960s America.
Yeah.
I mean, sexism is misogyny are a thing, but it's just not. It's apples and grand steak. Like it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some different.
Yeah, and some of the things that Portman's character has to go through. Like, it's just very odd. I don't know if we're supposed to take it seriously or feel for her in it. I don't know. It also stars Brett Gelman, Noah Jupe, and David Corenswet. I hope I said that right. I just got through the first episode. I don't know if I'll continue or not. But it's interesting, to say the least, especially the narrative style. So
Yeah.
I'm going to try to stick with it. But then we have our mutual watches. First up, Evil. I think we're on episode 7 was the most recent.
Wait, where did you stop?
Hold on 1 second. What episode? So we're ready for episode... What doesn't say? Hold on. Episode 8. My bad. No.
Yeah. The last one I watched was episode last one I watched was episode, oh Jesus, what did I watch? I think
Was it the chatbot one?
Yes, whichever one that
Okay.
was.
Yeah, that was episode 9. So that was the most recent one. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So this episode investigated a chatbot algorithm that was supposed to have people speak to deceased friends or family members. It apparently got possessed demonically.
Right.
And I thought it was a very good episode.
It's very deep.
Yeah, very deep. The way each Kristen, David, and Ben sort of reacted to this technology and the experiences is drawing from them. Ben with his mother and sort of like dealing with the revelation that his father was unfaithful. You have David, who reached out to his deceased girlfriend that we learned about earlier in the season or earlier in the series, and just how originally she was the religious one and her death sort of pushed him into the priesthood, which was interesting. And then of course Kristen started with Andy, wasn't getting the right results, so then she started talking to David and sort of unearthed some repressed desires again. Which was a hilarious scene when they were playing them back in the office.
In the office. And she ran over there. She's like, no.
But yeah, overall, great episode. But everything with Cheryl and Leland the past 2 episodes has been incredible.
Yeah. It's been funny too. I don't think I've ever felt so tense and just anxious than I have during that part where they were trying to baptize that baby. I think that may have been in the episode before, but still, I said, oh my gosh, something's going to happen. They're not going to get this done. Like,
they know how to ante up the tension. Just
they do.
Her trying, him, the priest struggling to say the words, and her saying that, hurry up. Just I'll take the picture. I'll do this. I'll do that. I didn't know exactly what else she was planning, but it worked until Leland obviously got the upper hand. Decide to pin it on the demon, whoever horse demonic guy, their boss basically, and kills him in front of everybody.
Right. It's insane.
Yeah, so I'm not sure where Cheryl goes from here, because Leland sort of pulled this out of the hat.
Right. It's also funny to me, and I'll never get over it, just how normal they are with this huge demon. Just like this is their boss. It's so weird, but at the same time, we're just supposed to have like nothing. Right.
Again, I think Andrea Martin deserves Emmys for her portrayal of Sister Martin. She's been incredible. And then Wallace Shepard as the priest, he's always great. But he's really good in this show.
Yeah.
And I love the way they had, the former priest speaking to him. Yeah, the chatbot thing was just very
weird.
Yeah, unsettling.
Yeah, because we live in a time now where that's definitely a thing, which is like, no, we're not doing that.
Mm-hmm. And then the episode before, like you mentioned, How to Save a Life, this ordeal with Sean Patrick Thomas's grief driving him to want to commit suicide and homicide. that was very powerful. I thought that episode was really good as well.
Right. There was a point when this episode started. I don't know if it was just dark on the screen or what. I couldn't tell if that was him. I was like, that looks like him. And then,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
as it went on, I was like, oh my god, yeah, that is.
Yeah, he's having a bit of resurgence. He's been in this. He was in Gen V, and he's going to be in the new Cruel Intentions series.
Well, that makes
So,
sense. He was in the original. That was,
yeah,
I think that maybe the first
yes,
place we saw him.
right. So yeah, Evil has been great. I kind of hate this is the final season. Apparently, their team wants to continue somewhere else. Hopefully, if they find a streamer that's willing. Um, but yeah, I don't know where they go with Leland getting this upper hand on Cheryl. It's
Yeah,
especially when I think the three don't expect what comes next.
right.
It's definitely going to push Kristen back into Cheryl's life, whether she wants to or not,
Sure not,
though.
yeah. And I'm really interested to see what happens with Ben. That's such a strange story. And
Yeah.
my guy was sleeping in aluminum foil. I was like, what is going on? Like,
It was funny, but you can see how it's literally crippled his belief system because he didn't have a belief system. He was
right.
strictly science. Everything had a logical explanation, but now he's basically witnessing his entire belief system just sort of like evaporate. So he's trying anything and everything to sort of
Yeah,
stay
yeah.
afloat. It's very
So we'll
interesting.
see. But yeah, it's such a good show. I mean, it's a shame it's going to end, but we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And then of course HBO had House of the Dragon.
There's so
Um, the
much going
latest
on.
the latest episode, Small Folk. Wow.
Yeah,
I
that's
thought
true.
nothing would top episode 4 with, us losing Rhaenys, but episode 6 definitely upped the ante as this is like true Game of Thrones. Everyone playing their position, playing
Right.
the game, trying to strategize. A great entry in this season.
And it gets confusing a little bit. I've given up on the familial connection because everybody is somebody niece, like their niece and daughter. It's so confusing. It's like okay, whatever. But I can kind of stick with the families and who's trying to pair and
Mm-hmm.
do that. But I think of the last few episodes, the one really uh, everybody's done well, but I think Matt Smith has really acted well, and he's had the most to do. This whole kind of Damon having this having to look inward type thing,
Right, right. And
and
I've seen a. Oh, go ahead.
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just seeing a lot of people complain that his stories aren't interesting. Like he needs to leave the castle, blah blah blah. But I think this is one of the most interesting arcs because we see him, this formidable, dragon rider, have to sort of basically go through like a days long therapy session and figure
Right,
out
yeah,
his emotion and come to terms with what's really bothering him. I think it's
exactly.
it's been great. Especially this episode where we finally see him grapple with the pain that sort of pushed him, Viserys banishing him
Right,
from being his heir. You think he wasn't, of course he was hurt by it, but we don't think he was sincerely hurt. And we see
right.
that here, with the return of Patty Considine as well. That and then him comforting him when his wife died,
Yeah,
him regretting not being there. It's very powerful.
yeah, it was very good. And I think another character that's been really interesting to watch, and I'd like to see her is, I think her name is Alice, the lady, the woman with the long black hair, and
Mm-hmm.
I definitely there was a part where I was like, she's not real because nobody else is paying attention to her when she walks through the room, or they're not really giving her much mind. But I was like, okay, maybe she is real. Like we'll see. But I do like the way she's kind of always there to almost tug at Damon, kind of like keep pushing and
Mm-hmm.
provoking him to to let whatever is in there out more. But yeah, that's been an interesting
Yeah.
character.
Yeah, she's definitely challenging him
Yes, yeah, that's a good word.
to sort of. I think he needs us to evolve to be who he thinks he should be, for one
Right.
thing. And similarly, I think the same for Aemon. They're both sort of the same characters, ignored for the throne for perhaps a lesser king.
Right.
And Aemon is sort of pushed by the act that was that he was stricken with as a child and has never fully recovered.
Right. Yeah.
And I think he's strong now, but I have a feeling the alliance between Aegon and Larys is going to bear troublesome for Aemon, and he's not fully equipped to handle it.
No, he's definitely running off. His motivation is anger and vengeance, and yeah, I think he'll get tripped up.
Yeah, definitely. I loved everything in King's Landing. You have the fall of Alicent and her feeling regret of her lack of motherly ways for her children, and what they've suffered. Aemon's rise, and then that scene with Larys and Aegon was really interesting. Just seeing how smart Larys is. After Aemon rejecting him, immediately connecting with Aegon just because he's going to be a crippled and he's already going to be looked at as less than because of his disability.
Yeah, right.
And sort of linking those shared experiences is sort of to save his own skin. Larys is again saving his own skin. So yeah, a very scary pairing. I loved everything with Sea Smoke this episode.
Yeah, that was interesting. I was scared for a second there. I was like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah, what's going to happen?
Right.
But he clearly can sense the Targaryen blood in Adam, and why he sort of runs him down, and why Sir Stefan was not the chosen one, unfortunately.
He got crispy. Just
yeah. And of course, we had the scene between Mysaria and Rhaenyra, which I was not expecting. Mysaria, of course, gains Rhaenyra's trust with this action to turn the tide of the public against the king, which was a great idea. But then they kiss, and it kind of makes sense. Just because they're both women who have sort of been spurned by men in sort of leadership roles. It gives queer. It gives
and I think that's a good reason. But also, when I watched it, it didn't feel forced. It didn't feel like the writers just boom, we're going to toss in this queer moment here. It did kind of feel kind of just the way they talk to each other. You could even there's one point where they're outside on that balcony and she says something to her and she looks at her, she kind of gives her like a look and there's like, okay, there's definitely something brewing there. But I thought it definitely didn't feel bad at all.
Yeah, it felt natural, like you said. Yeah. So I'm excited to see where it goes next. We'll have Rhaenyra to see who this dragon rider is, which will of course reveal Corlys's bastards, who he's tried to keep at bay, but even they know whose they are, which is interesting.
Right.
We see that, so we'll see them sort of enter the fray and hopefully, be able to strengthen Rhaenyra's stance, because until now she was looking really weak.
Yeah, but now she's got a little bit of wind in her sails, and it should be interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah. The only thing that felt a little inconsequential was, of course, the scene with Rhaena. They've kind of pushed all that to the side, but it is interesting to learn that there's a wild dragon out there sort of needing a rider, so
that would be an interesting storyline too. I didn't like that lady, that queen. Like, I didn't like her attitude. Like, you can get on it.
Right. Something feels very Karen about her.
Yeah, something doesn't feel right at all, yeah.
Yeah, she's like, so you have the dragon along? Say, girl.
Right.
No. It's wild. I don't have a dragon. But she lied, clearly.
Right, absolutely.
So yeah, we only have 2 episodes left in the season, so I'm sure it's about to go crazy over in the House of Dragon. New episode coming this Sunday at 9 p.m. and then new episode of Evil Thursday. on Paramount Plus. And then finally, what we're going to watch in the coming up weeks. Of course, July 31st, we get the 4th volume of Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah.
I was pretty impressed with the trailer, I have to say. It looks like they're about to deliver, especially with the Jack the Ripper one. I'm guessing they have some new information, because why would they?
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Is maybe they found other things, or yeah, so it could be interesting.
Yeah, some hype for that. And then August 1st, Batman Cape Crusader, a new animated series, drops on Prime Video. I'm excited for it. And I don't know what else is coming on yet, but we'll get to that later. But upcoming later this week, and I'm sure we'll talk about later, is Comic-Con happening in San Diego. Marvel is returning to Studio Hall, so I'm sure we'll get some updates on both movies and film, both movies and series.
Yeah.
In the MCU. Who else is supposed to be there? Prime Video will make its premiere there. Who else? I forget. Oh, the Penguin, of course, is supposed to have some information there as well. But we'll hear about it. It's takes over the newsreel for the weekend, so it'll be exciting to catch up on that. I want to thank you for listening to this episode of It's the Stream of Life podcast with Brandon and Lorin. And we hope to see you next time, where we'll probably recap Comic-Con and the latest episodes of House of Dragon and Evil. Until then, keep on streaming.
Peace.